Welcome to Highlights of the Amber May Show, brought to you by Arizona Sports Network. Change does not happen from the top down, but from the bottom up at the grassroots. The top is so far removed from what's going on down below, they have no idea what we need, how we need help, anything. They don't know. We have to make a change. We may not be able to change the whole world, but we can change the world of one by helping one person at a time. We have all had injustices done in our lives and no one to help us. It's time for that to stop. Once we stop thinking of ourselves, number one, and begin thinking of number two, this whole world will change dramatically. I want you to listen to this trailer, Pay It Forward.
What if the world is just a big disappointment? Unless you take the things that you don't like about this world and you flip them upside down, and you can start that today.
That's me, and that's 3 people, and I'm going to help them. Then they do it for 3 other people, then they do it for 3 more. But it has to be something really big, something they can't do by themselves.
That is a very thought-provoking movie. Something that would benefit all of us is if we could look out for somebody else. Now, injustices come in different forms. One injustice that you can look at is a political injustice. When we see things like the photo radar cameras, we can make a stand and try and help our fellow man, our fellow citizen, not have to deal with that stuff. And we can only do that by standing up and gathering in a group. You know, we are more than the government. We're bigger than the government. We have more than the government. You know, there's more of us than they are of them, and we got to remember that. So when you see laws going in effect that may sound good, for an example, there's an act called the Fairness Act. And my understanding of it, I may be incorrect, but what I understand of it, how it affects, you know, my industry, radio, is, let's say I own a radio station. I decide I want to own a conservative talk show radio. And I have my listeners, and they prefer to listen to conservative radio instead of liberal radio. Well, with that fairness doctrine, they're going to tell me how to run my company, my own business, a private business, and tell me that I have to have so much of the liberal side. Now, that's not fair for me or the listeners, because the listeners chose my station because they didn't want to hear what the other side had to say. Now, that's not very fair, because the liberals are allowed to have a radio station too. And for the liberals to have to put conservative talk on their station, it's just not right. We need to stand up for injustices such as that sound good, but when you think about it, it really infringes on our rights, and it's more control. When you have more control, you have less freedom, and that's very important. That's one aspect of injustice that we can stand up for together. The other side is, like the movie was talking about, when we see people in everyday life that might be struggling, we should be a good Samaritan and help them. A great example of being a good Samaritan, helping people down the road that even though you don't know them, even though they have no direct relationship with you, helping someone. That's amazing. The other aspect of helping people, a lot of us Americans don't have jobs, and I know that's around the world. You know, we're not the only ones without jobs. A lot of people are losing their homes here, and instead of going to the government for handouts, we can help each other out in any kind of way. If we can dig in our pantry and find a few canned foods that we can give to our neighbor, if there's a few dollars that extra that we can give to our friend to help them out to get through the rough times. You know, there's a lot of situations that come up all of a sudden in our lives that we weren't expecting, and it throws our course way off. And that's been your Amber May highlight. To hear this show in its entirety, log on to azfl.com, look for the link entitled The Amber May Show. You can check out my blogs, where there's also a link for my podcast. We'll see you next week.